asked you if you wanted to see the reassembly of the shaper. And a lot of you said, yes, we want. Now, wait a second. How much? Right, a lot. You wanted it, you've got it. Let's go for it. Now, before we start, it's maybe interesting to know that this machine is a AI Hembrug, built in the Netherlands, and it has a 200mm stroke. I tell you this because I know that there's a lot of these machines still around. There's a few very nice YouTube channels that use exactly the same machine, and I've been contacted a few times by other people that doesn't have a YouTube channel and they also have exactly the same machine. So for these people, maybe this could be interesting. Now, what are we talking about here? I made in previous two videos a brand new sliding block that of course comes here on the crank pin, and that has to slide in the rocker arm. That itself is held in place with this pin here. This pin is just pressed in. There's no bolts, no nuts, no nothing. And on the other side of the machine we can see the same pin if we open the door, and here it is. It's a bit hard to see, but it's here. Now, I was very lucky because there's absolutely no play on the rocker arm. So everything perfectly fine. I didn't have to disassemble it. But if you do, if you have to take this pin out, keep in mind that on the door side, this side is the door and the clutch, and here all are the hand wheels and the feed mechanism. Here the pin is diameter 21, and on the other side diameter 20. So there's only one way to get it out. And I want to thank Dominic from Do Metal Stuff to share this information. He told me this. I didn't know, but now I know, you know. Right, that said, now we can start reassemble the thing, and you will see that it's not rocket science. It's just shaper science. Let's start by putting the crank pin back in place, and of course at the same time the stroke adjuster, because this machine has an external and very easy to use stroke length adjuster, not like these primitive machines where you have to open the door and take some kind of wrench that doesn't fit and then move the crank pin up and down and hope that you have the right stroke length. This thing, much better. What I like here as a little detail is this chisel mark. This is of course a cast part, and I suppose there was a little bit too much material here. They took it out with a chisel. That's nice. Now, of course, we need to install the lead screw, and on top of this comes of course the crank pin, right? Now, to install an adjuster, to install the lead screw in this block here, make sure there's a little bit of drag. Of course you can spin it by hand, but not really freely. Otherwise, what could happen when the machine is running, there's a tiny little force on this gear that comes from this gear, and the stroke length could change while cutting. So a little bit of drag on this one and on this shaft, but that's on the other side, also a little bit of drag. Not too much, just a little. And this part you can put it on in two directions, like this, or of course like this, but this is the only right way. so you can put the crank pin almost center. But before I do that, I like to check the play. So this is really free to move. Of course, up here comes these two little plates, but there is no side rocking movement, almost none, and it's free to move. So this perfect. Let's put them together. If at this stage of the assembly you see that there's rock or play or movement in the crank pin, or for example too much or not enough drag in the system to adjust it, it's totally pointless to continue and install this part in the machine, because once installed you don't have any access at all at these adjusting nuts or these two little plates and all this shit, of course. Now, if there is any play in the crank pin, all you have to do is take these two plates off and scrape the surface below it. I'm doing mechanical stuff for more than 40 years now, and I still don't have the right tool to install this kind of clips. But maybe one day, to make things a little bit easier to install this thing now in the shaper, I first took out this oil seal that fits in this hole here. And of course also on the shaft of the clutch mechanism. And as you can see, while I was here, I made two new gaskets. Now, why two? Because my number one, I made a mistake, so I had to start again. That's why. And to prevent it from escaping while installing, I will glue it in with a touch of grease. Now, this is maybe not really a camera-friendly operation, but what to do? To align this plate with the body of the shaper, of course with the weight it has, it's not really easy to wiggle it in place. So I installed two long studs that you can see, one here and the other one that you can't see. and then very easily tighten a bit more and a bit more, and then this is also a longer bolt than official, and every time make sure that I can spin the thing by hand. Everything is free to move, and now it's very easy. And I have here one official bolt, original one, in place, and another one also in place. And now I can take out the too long one, and my two studs. Check if it's free moving. Perfect. And install the missing official bolts. And of course, when everything is tightened down, we also install the oil seal. And I think now it's time to reinstall the clutch mechanism. Very easy. And the counter nut. And of course I don't have the right tool to do this, so don't look. That will work. And I think now we can give it back its oil. Here you go. What a mess. I leave a little bit in here because I see there are chips or something, let's say dirt in the bottom, so I'm not gonna put it in. Because this machine doesn't have an oil pump, the oil will be picked up by the bull gear that you can hardly see here, and then will climb up this little steel plate that in the original machines is a copper piece, but mine broke off, so I made a new one in steel. And the oil will drip off and will fill up this funnel idea that I made in a previous video. So the sliding block will be always with plenty of oil. And on the other side here, that you cannot see, I think, but I will try to show you, there is a tiny little pipe, and this pipe drips the oil to the main bearing of the bull gear. Let's see if it works. And it does. The weird noise you hear is this little plate touching the teeth. So let's bend it up a bit. That's better. And the clicking noise is of course the rocker arm that touches this little plate. But when everything is in place, it doesn't touch. Because here, as you can see, the rocker arm can slide left and right. Now that I know that the oil system works just fine, and that is of course good news, I think it's time to install in my opinion, the most iconic part of the shaper, and that is of course the ram. Let's do this. And of course also the adjustable gib. When we assemble the feed mechanism, of course we have to take care that this gear system is timed, otherwise the machine will feed on the wrong moment. And I'm not gonna go into much detail how to do this here, because there is a link below this video to another video that I made where I explain in great detail if you want to know it. So I can take this one out. Maybe I should spin a little bit. Right. I gave it a little spin, otherwise this nut falls out. That's not fun. And the very last part to install is of course the tool slide. It is of course all very well to reassemble the thing, but does it work? not hear any knocking at all. But maybe if we take some cuts. I installed my typical go-to cutting tool and a piece of something with a thickness of about this. And the goal is of course not to take big cuts or to see what the machine can do. The goal is to listen if there's still a knocking sound or not. I am really happy with the result. No knocking, no nothing, no binding. This machine is as good as new. And of course I'm gonna keep the old block, because if I do have to do it again, I prefer take measurements on the original part than on the copy. Otherwise it will be a copy of a copy and again another copy. So original part, keep it. And at the same time, now I'm also the brand new owner of a totally useless part that I don't know what I'm gonna do with it. But wait, if I cut off a piece here and then maybe